All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakha Kudash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. All right, and in this lesson, as you can see in the title, the Godsmith and the Hammer of the Spirit. And I was watching the stream that the elder apostle Ramlab had done. I didn't finish it, but while I was watching it, there was a I was listening to it, and then through the spirit, I just thought about this title, and because his video was dealing with your last mistake being your best teacher, and he was going through different precepts, making different points, and so through the spirit, I wanted to go into this lesson, as it says, the Godsmith and the Hammer of the Spirit. And a smith, when you look it up, okay, a smith, I wrote it down here, it says, smith is a craftsperson fashioning useful items out of various metals, okay? And we are likened onto precious metals. As we're going to read in the book of Wisdom of Solomon, the 3rd chapter, it says that the Lord has put us in the furnace of adversity, right? Acceptable men in the furnace of adversity. So we are tried like gold is tried, right? And it says here, shaping with a hammer, right? Because the latter part of the title was the Hammer of the Spirit. So it says shaping with a hammer is the archetypical component of smithing. Often the hammering is done while the metal is hot, having been heated in a forge. And the archetype or archetypical is like a typical way, right? And it says it's been heated in a forge, which a forge is like a the place before the fire, right, where they have everything set up, and then you see them hitting. If they're like a blacksmith, or they're making sword or armor or anything like that, they have the hammer and they got the sword out, and you can see the sword is still glowing, almost like a orangish reddish kind of glow, because it's hot, and then they're smiting it, trying to hit all the impurities out of it, which we are likened onto that gold, or that item that's being smithed. So the reason I said Godsmith is because what is the Lord ultimately doing? He's turning us into gods. He's making us perfect by hitting out the impurities. And when you read in the definition here, it mentions often the hammering, which is when you get hit, is done while the metal is hot. And what is the heat? The heat is the hell that we catch. Because when we go through the different things we go through, being in this truth, which is where the forge, where you come into, as it says in Ecclesiasticus, the 2nd chapter, prepare thy soul for temptation, because this is the forge. When you come here, you're going to go through so many different things that are going to put you in different states of mind, that are going to, you're going to feel different ways at different times. But overall, if you stick through it, what's going to happen is you're going to come out as pure gold. You're going to come out purified. You're going to come out as a god. That's what's ultimately going to happen. The elect, once they get delivered out of here, when they finally come out as the final product, they're going to be gods. Okay, so the Most High is the smith, right? Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai is the smith, and through being in this truth, we are being, the impurities are being hit out of us through the hell that we go through. Because a lot of the lessons, right, when a blacksmith is hitting the sword, for an example, there's a certain part that he hits, and that's the part that may not be straight all the way, or the part that may have impurities that he needs to get out. So that's the part that he hits, and as we read, while it's hot. So there are certain times in life where we go through certain things. The Lord will put us through a certain situation, and you may be catching a lot of hell. And that's when the lesson or the hammer is going to come down, while you're catching that hell, while it's hot. And through the hell, once you come out of it, if you learn the lesson, because that's where the hammer comes in to straighten you out. So you go through the hell, and while you're in the hell, the Lord brings the hammer to try and straighten you out. Because when you catch hell, you get humbled. And when you get humbled, that's when your chances of understanding or reflecting and realizing your mistakes and doing better, that's where that happens. A lot of repentance comes through humility. And that humility comes through being humbled, which comes through different events that you go through. And most of the time, they're negative events. If you're on a certain path and positive things are happening to you, you're not going to stop to think, oh, am I doing something wrong? Maybe I should change what I'm doing. But if you're on a certain path and negative things are happening to you, you're going to stop and reflect. Maybe there's something that I'm doing that I'm not supposed to be doing. And that's when you either come out of that hell that you went through better or worse. So the Lord will sometimes put us through hell, and in the hell is when the hammer comes to try and correct you. Because in the hell, as likening on to the metal is easier, right, to conform to the shape that the smith wants it to when he hits it with the hammer while it is hot. So it's easier for us to learn the lesson that the Lord wants us to learn when we are catching hell, because then we're willing to listen. Pride goes away, humility sets in, and you're ready to listen and to be made better. Okay? So with that being said, I'm going to start with the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 3, verse 1. And it says, but the souls of the righteous are in the hand of God, and there shall no torment touch them. See, they're in the hand of God. And in his hand, we are protected, but we also go through certain things to make us better. Because if gold was, see, when people think of gold, they forget that there's a process between when you first find the gold and it being in this purified form where you're looking at it like, damn, that's fire. I want that. I want that around my neck or my wrist or wherever. And shalom, Yahweh Shem Yahshai, brakatham to you all. Okay? But gold goes through a purification process. Now the value of gold is there. You see gold in dirt or wherever when you mining gold and you see gold, it's gold. Gold is gold. It's valuable. But you still have to take it through a purification process to draw out that fullness of its value. And that's what the Lord is doing to us. This truth is the forge, and the Lord is drawing out that fullness through the hammer of the Spirit. Because it's through the Spirit that we get straightened. The Lord will put us through certain hot adversities, and through the Spirit, he's gonna use the Spirit to straighten us out. And when it is all said and done, that's when we come out as gods. So back in Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 3, verse 2. In the sight of the unwise, they seem to die, and their departure is taken for misery. And they're going forth from us to be utter destruction, but they are in peace. See, because ultimately, some people look at the situations and the things that men of the Lord or believers that have gone through in the past, and because they don't have the understanding, they don't realize that it was actually for their benefit. So they thought, like it says, their departure to be taken for misery because of the things that we had to suffer for Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai, not realizing that those things were really for our benefit. Verse 3, I read this part, verse 4, for though they be punished in the sight of men, yet is their hope full of what? Immortality. So we're going through the chastisement, we're going through the hammering of the Spirit, because our hope is that we're going to come out on the other side as gods. We're going to come out purified. We're going to come out eternal. Okay, immortality. Verse 5, and having been a little chastised, they shall be greatly rewarded. For the Most High proved them and found them worthy for himself. And that's why it says many are called, but few are chosen. Because the many that were called, the ones that ended up falling off, it was because when they were proved, they weren't found to be chosen. The Most High didn't find them worthy for himself. So they didn't make it. They didn't last the trial of the proving. That's why many are called, but only few are chosen. And it says, Here we go. Verse 6. As gold in the furnace hath he tried them. So you have a blacksmith, you have a goldsmith, you have a Godsmith. Okay? It says, hath he tried them, and how is gold? Well, it just told us, in a furnace, which is that heat, that fire, and receive them as a burnt offering. So back to the point that I'm making here, through the Spirit, the Lord is putting us through these things, and that's why Sirach, the 2nd chapter, says exactly what it says. You're not supposed to, and also Hebrews, the 12th chapter, we're supposed to take that chastening. Now, we understand that chastening, hell, these things are not fun. They don't feel good, but they are good. When you're a kid and your parents tell you eat your vegetables, it doesn't taste good, but it's good for you. Okay, so the things we're going through, obviously it doesn't feel good. Hey, even people who work out, when you work out and you're lifting weights and you're going high reps, you know, the lactic acid builds up, it burns. Or whatever you're trying to lift up is heavy and you're tired. And you seem like you don't have any any more energy or anything like that for it. But when you at the end of the day, when you do it, that's when you make the gains. You see? So whatever you have to, I mean, in the working for whatever it is you're working for, it's not really fun. It's not the easiest thing to do, but it's necessary. And the reason you're doing it, sometimes it's not because it's fun. You're doing it because the end goal is the result. The end goal is driving you. That's right. Like the brother, yep. Healing herbs are bitter, but the end of it is sweet. And the scriptures tell you better is the end of a thing than the beginning thereof. Continuing in verse 7, Wisdom of Solomon chapter 3, verse 7. And in the time of their visitation, they shall shine, because all the impurities are going to be knocked out of us. You know, the Lord is training up our minds through the adversities that we're going through, and we're being made perfect in mind, not in the body, but in the mind. That's why you have that conflict. That's why you have the war between your spirit and your body, because your spirit is willing, but your flesh is weak. That's why if you forget it's the Sabbath and you light a fire and then you remember, you're like, oh shit. And then, you feel bad when you go off, because in your mind, you want to be perfect. In your mind, you're chasing perfection. But you can't reciprocate that through the flesh because of these chains of darkness. So what the Lord is doing is, he's training up our mind, because as the saying goes, what the mind says, the body follows. So if the Lord can make your mind perfect, then all he has to do is put you in a perfect body, a body that can enhance, or not enhance, a body that can extend your spirit. Instead of resisting it and fighting against it, it can allow your spirit to flow through it. That and ultimately that's what it is. So the new bodies are bodies, but why do you think the Lord has it to? Why didn't the Lord just give us the new bodies from the jump? Why do we have to go through the things we're going through now before we get those new bodies? Because in those new bodies, we're going to be programmed to be all righteous. So why not just go like that and just put us there now? Because is what's up here. Generation after generation after generation, the one thing that doesn't change is our spirit. Same spirit coming down over and over again in different bodies. And once we're made perfect, which is in this time, the Lord knew that after a certain amount of generations is when he was going to want to have all these prophecies fulfilled. And at the end of all of that, the elect are going to be up to the standard the Lord wants, as a bride adorned for her husband. And the Lord is going to dress her. Okay? The new bodies are like a dress. They're like clothes. Okay? But more than the clothes is the person wearing the clothes. If the person wearing the clothing is not worthy of the clothing, then it doesn't matter how nice the clothing is. You know what I'm saying? You can have a nice ass car, but if you don't know how to drive, what's the point? The car is going to allow you to move and make a right turn, make a left turn. Yep, like the other said, a perfecting process. Because You could, this car could be fast. The brakes could be sharp. They could be good. But hold on 1 second. If you don't know how to drive, what use is the car? Yeah, the car can stop on a dime. It can turn right. It can turn left. But you don't know how to make it do that. So it's not going to benefit you. So what do you first need to do? What's the order? Do you first get a car and then learn how to drive? Or do you learn how to drive and then get a car? Because what business do you have with a car if you don't know how to drive? So we have to be made perfect in mind and then get perfect body. So we can fully put 2 and 2 together. Because it doesn't make sense to have a perfect body, but you're not perfect in mind. That's why the Lord said he's gonna change our hearts. He's gonna, like once again, like the elder put, the perfecting process. That's it. The machine. Yep. Because whatever you when you have a computer or a machine, it doesn't matter how sophisticated the machine is, it can't do anything that it hasn't been programmed to do. And the apostle mentioned that in his video too. You can't, the machine could take, it could have super, the space capacity, the memory capacity, the speed at which it runs could be top notch. But if it's only programmed to do addition, that's all it can do. So, back in Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 3, verse, where was I at? Verse 7. It says, and in the time of their visitation, they shall shine and run to and fro like sparks amongst the stubble. They shall judge the nations and have dominion over the people, and their Lord shall reign forever. Because at that point, we're going to be made gods, and we're not going to need to catch hell anymore, because it's done. When the smith sees that his work is done, is perfect, he doesn't need to hit it anymore. He doesn't need to heat it up anymore. It's perfect. And now it can be used for what he wants it to be used for. And now he can be proud in his work. So once we are made perfect, we're not going to, the scriptures say, you shall no more be carried into captivity anymore. It says death and Revelation 21, crying, no more tears, no more crying, death and sorrow and all of that is going to be passed away. It's going to be done away with. Why? Because those things are all still a part of the hammering process, the perfecting process. And once we're made perfect, we're not going to need those things anymore. Once the smith is done making and purifying and perfecting the sword, he doesn't need to put it in the fire anymore, hit it anymore. It's good. And it's good for use now. See, so in the kingdom, because the scriptures say man was made to be immortal. So in the kingdom, we're gonna be able to be used or do what we were actually created to do properly. And from creation up until now may seem like the story, but really it's like the prologue of the story. Oh, there were once these, before you watch a movie, they show like they may show like a old scroll animation, and then it may show like a little flashback story of this, that, and the third, and then it zooms in, and then when the movie starts, it's in the present time. This is how we ended up here. So something like that. In the kingdom, you look back, okay, well, at one point we were here in the garden, and then we went off and we fell. And then through a process of time, we went through this and went through that and went through this, and then the Lord came back and redeemed us, and then boom. Now we're here. Now we get to really live how the Lord intended for us to live. Now it begins. So that's why it says that they shall judge the nations and have dominion over the people, and their Lord shall reign over them or reign forever. And this shows you that not everybody's made equally, because if everybody's going to be saved and everybody's going to get this reward, who are going to be the nations that are going to be judged? If everybody is going to be the judge, who's going to be getting judged? If everybody's going to be on top, who's going to keep them on top? Who's going to be under them? You can't have top without bottom. Without a bottom, there's no measurement of top. Top is in comparison to bottom or whatever's under it. There's nothing under you. You're not on top. You're just there. Right? So you can't have everybody be on top. Then there is nobody on top. But if there's going to be somebody on top, then somebody has to be on the bottom. And that person that's going to be on the bottom are these heathens. That's it. It's very simple, actually. Verse 9, they that put their trust in him shall understand the truth, and such as be faithful in love shall abide with him. For grace and mercy is to his saints, and he hath care for his elect. So if you're able to endure the process of chastening, of hell, of being abased, and go through the different things the Lord puts you through, at the end of it all, you're going to come out purified. Verse 10, but the ungodly shall be punished according to their own imagination, labors unfruitful and their works unprofitable. Because an average individual, an average Israelite walking around that is not in this truth and is not thinking in like mind, if you ask them, basic question, what do you want in life? They either don't know how to answer it, or after 5 minutes of saying, I mean, well, after all of that, they're gonna tell you something vain. And you know, and we're gonna see it as vain because of where the Lord has put our minds up to. You're gonna say, of all things, that's what, you know, I want a nice house, maybe in the Hamptons, you know, and I can have a nice job, and you know, I can you know, take weekends off and chill with my family. And that's the mindset of a slave. That's the mindset of somebody working for. That's a worker mindset. We don't want that. We want rulership. Okay, their hopes and their ambitions are vain, because they lack that nurture. They lack that wisdom. They're like a paper sword in comparison to a brass sword. And that's what the Lord is doing. He's making us brass, or he's making us hard. And that's why the scripture said, endure hardness as a good soldier of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Next precept is in the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter, let's see. Bear with me 1 second. There we go. Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 3. And it reads, sorrow is better than laughter, for by sadness of the countenance the heart is made better. Now, does this mean that you can't laugh at anything in life? You hear something funny, you gotta cry about it. You gotta be upset, because the scriptures, Ecclesiastes 7:3 says sorrow is better than laughter. So if I laugh, I'm going off. I don't care how funny it is, I can't laugh. No, that's not what it means. That's right. Virgin Islands Straight Gate, 2 Peter 3:13. Nevertheless, we, according to his promise, look for new heavens and a new earth wherein dwelleth righteousness. And then the Lord is going to make us righteous so we can dwell in that. Okay? Because that once again, death, sin, these are all results of wickedness. But life, joy, peace, those are results of righteousness. So Ecclesiastes 7:3 again, sorrow is better than laughter, for by the sadness of the countenance, the heart is made better. And when you're catching hell, your countenance is not joyful, because it doesn't feel good. Because that leads me to my last precept. Hebrews chapter 12, verse, starting at verse 3. It says, for consider him that endured such contradiction of sinners against himself, lest ye be wearied and faint in your minds. Ye have not resisted unto blood, striving against sin. And ye have forgotten the exhortation which speaketh unto you as unto children. My son, despise not thou the chastening of the Lord, nor faint when thou art rebuked of him. For whom the Lord loveth, he chasteneth, and scourgeth every son whom he receiveth. Because if a smith didn't see hope or potential in whatever metal you brought, he wouldn't use it. He wouldn't take his time to lay it out, you know, risk getting burned, risk getting injured, you know, put in energy and time and effort to make this armor or this sword or this gold or whatever it is. He wouldn't do that. So that's why it says, despise not the chastening of the Lord, because the Lord is taking time to put in that work to make us perfect. So we have to be willing and ready to endure whatever we have to go through to be made perfect. You said you want to be perfect. The Lord said, okay, I'm willing to make you perfect, but are you willing to stick out through the process? Or do you, and that's why the scriptures talk about counting the cost. If you don't count the cost, you don't know why you in this thing. You're just here just to be here. And guess what? When that heavy hammer comes, boom, and then you start catching the hell, and you start thinking in your mind, why the hell am I catching hell? You don't have any reason. So what's keeping you here? If you don't have an anchor, if you don't have a reason to be in the truth, you will not stay in the truth. Because you can be in the truth and continue. Well, you can be around the word of the Lord and continue for a while without having a real reason for being here. But once adversity hits, you're not going to be able to stick, because your anchor, you don't have an anchor. Your reason that you think about when you catch adversities to keep you going through it, it's not going to be there because you don't have one. And sometimes the Lord will put you through hell, and that's when you're going to realize, yo, why am I really even here? Why do I go out there? People don't, there's some people that don't know. They just do it. I'm just out because I'm part of the camp. I'm part of a camp, and I know that's what we got to do. So I just go through the motions. Going through the motions will not get you through Jacob's trouble. Going through the motions will not get you through the heavy hits of the hammer of the Spirit. That's not going to get you through it. You need to be resolved, and the scriptures say, be fully persuaded in your own mind. That's how you're going to get through, because you know you're here for a reason. You know you're here to serve the Lord. Whether it's heavily influenced by fear of not being destroyed, or desire for the kingdom or reward or whatever it is, you got a strong reason. Whatever you go through, you always think back to that. And that reason is so strong that it overpowers and overshadows the pain you're going through. Like, and I'll give you an example. Pain and fear. When somebody could be in fear, you could be so terrified you get paralyzed and your body won't move. But if you can inflict pain on yourself, enough pain that can override your fear, you'll be able to break out of that paralysis. So when you catch the hell and it feels so tough and it's like, damn, man, this shit crazy. You know, you're like, damn, man, this thing is something. And then you remember your anchor, your reasoning, why you're in this truth. That reasoning overpowers the hell you're going through, and it pushes you to go forward. You trying to lift, you got 5 more reps, and it's like, damn, my arm won't even come up for me to curl it. But then you envision what you want to look like, or what you look like now, and how you want to be changed, and that gives you the mental strength to force your body to come up and to curl it, even if you got to go one by one every couple of seconds, but you still do it. See, so it's important, in order to endure the chastening of the Lord, you have to be solid. You have to have a solid reasoning for being in this truth. You got to ask yourself, why am I actually here? Why do I do the things that I do? Is there anything that can stop me from serving the Lord? Is it my family leaving me, my woman leaving me, my kid? Is it death? Is there something that can stop me? And if there is, then you got a problem. And you got to pray to the Lord. Because you best believe them demons are going to be, is there actually anything? Oh, okay, that's what it is. Cool. They found your kryptonite. And they will bring it against you. Okay? So back in Hebrews 12, verse 7. If ye endure chastening, the Most High dealeth with you as with sons. For what son is he whom the father chasteneth not? Right, because what parent is going to see their child doing wrong and not say anything? If you love your child, you're going to chasten them. You're going to chastise them and and whoop their ass. So that, especially if they do something real bad, you're going to whoop their ass so that they don't do it again. So that benefits them, and it also benefits you. It says, verse 8, but if ye be without chastisement, whereof all are partakers, then are ye bastards and not sons. Because the father that doesn't have, what's that name of that movie? Damn. There was, if I'm not mistaken, I think, it's a movie I watched a long time ago. I don't remember it. but I think Ice Cube might have been in it, if I'm not mistaken. But there was the father, he had a son. And in their neighborhood, you know, his son had friends. And I think it might have been the same movie where there's a scene where you hear, like, I know there was a lot of memes on it, where the dude is, I guess, running, and you just hear like Ricky or something like that, like Ricky, and then the dude pulls out a gun and shoots him, pow, and then, you know, he slow motion and shit, and then I forgot what it was, but you had the son, and then you had his friends, and the friends didn't have like that father-like figure, but the boy, he did. And there would be certain things that his friends would do that he couldn't do because of his father. And eventually his friends ended up in, you know, certain whatever, I think that might have been it, Boys in the Hood, the water. But it got to the point where their friends would do certain things, but he couldn't do it because his father would you know, get on his ass, you know, would chastise him. But they would be free to do that because they didn't have that father to chastise them, that figure there. So they, oh, yo, we're gonna go do this. Oh, I can't, my dad. You know, oh, I can't this. Oh, I can't that. But eventually what happens is, because you can't, you're gonna end up down a certain path. And because they have nobody to tell them not to do it, they're gonna end up down a certain path. The problem is, the problem for them is they're gonna end up on a path that they're either dead, or they're in some trouble, or they're in some negative, because parents don't just tell you don't do this for no reason. There's a reason behind it. And most of the time when they tell you not to do something is because that thing is gonna lead to a negative outcome. And if you don't have somebody to tell you not to do it, you're gonna do it. And if you do it, you're gonna end up facing that negative outcome. Right? So as it says here, if ye be without chastisement, whereof all are partakers, then are ye bastards and not sons. Meaning you don't have a father. You don't have somebody to tell you or chastise you when you do wrong. Okay, cons. Yep. So that might have been the movie that I'm thinking about. Sometimes, you know, you try to remember and you might mix up one or two or three different ones, you know, but yeah, I think that was the movie right there. Okay, so going on, verse 9. Furthermore, we have had fathers of our flesh, meaning your biological parents or fathers, which corrected us, and we gave them reverence. Right? You thank your father or your parents for raising you up correctly, for correcting you when you went off, because that made you a better individual. It made you a better man or a better woman, you know, when you grew up. And it says, and we gave them reverence. Shall we not much rather be in subjection unto the Father of spirits and live? See, so how much more the Most High? Your parents correct you according to what they know, but how much more for the Most High, who's infinite in knowledge and in wisdom, in perfection. Verse 10. For they verily for a few days chastened us after their own pleasure. It says, but he for our profit, that we might be partakers of his holiness. Now, when your parents chastise you, of course it's for your profit as well, but it's ultimately so, it's according to what they know. It's according to what they feel is right. They'll tell you do this or don't do this according to what they feel is right. According to them being able to raise you up to a standard that pleases them because you're their child. So they can look at you and in their eyes, they can be pleased by the way you turned out, if that's how they wanted you to turn out. But the Most High is chastening us for our benefit, that we don't get destroyed, that we gain that salvation, that we gain that immortality, you know, that we get that reward. Verse 11. Now no chastening for the present seemeth to be joyous. And that's the point right there. Yeah, we understand that when you catching hell, it's not fun. It doesn't feel good. It's not sweet. Okay? Because it's not supposed to be sweet. If catching hell was sweet, then you would do whatever it is that brought that hell upon you, because it feels good. But if it doesn't feel good, then you're not going to want to do it because you don't want that outcome. So it says, no chastening for the present seemeth to be joyous, because while it's happening, it doesn't feel good. When Yahushua was getting beat, and he was getting the thorns jammed into his head, and he was going through that. It didn't feel good. That present thing he went through was not a feel good. It says, but grievous, nevertheless, afterward. See, afterward. So if you go through some chastisement for a reward at the end, and they ask you, would you do it again? And you say, yeah, your reasoning is not, you're not going to say, oh yeah, I would, you know, like the Lord is not going to say, yeah, I'd go on the cross again because it feels good. No, but you go again because of the outcome, right? I went through hardships, but I go through it again because of where it brought me. Right? I went through shit that I went through, but I do it again because of where I ended up from going through those things. Not because I liked going through it, no, but because of where the reward that came after. So it says, now no chastening for the present seemeth to be joyous, but grievous. Nevertheless, afterward it yieldeth the peaceable fruit of righteousness unto them which are exercised thereby. Okay, and ultimately, that's going to be, for us, is going to be when the Lord comes back and Lord willing delivers us. Okay, when we are made perfect. When after being dealt with by the Goldsmith, or the Godsmith, we have been made into gods. All right, by the smiting of the hammer of the Spirit, the impurities of wickedness have been purged out of us. And by going in mortal, we have come out immortal. By going in corrupted, we have come out incorruptible. Okay? By going in, wicked, we have come out righteous. And by going in weak, we have come out strong. So endure whatever it is the Lord brings upon you, because yes, it may not feel good, but at the end of it, it's for your good, pursuant to Romans, the 8th chapter. So with that, I'm going to end it here. Lord willing, that was edifying unto the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakha Kodash. Until next time, Shalom.